I saw this vision, a window opening and a lot of blackbirds flying out, and I just burst into tears.
I would fly over forests like a bird, be lying in the grass looking at a blue sky with big puffy clouds.
In that moment, I didn't know that I would live. There were many hands working on her. I think we were both just blown away. I was working with a stage 4 patient. She was quite young, a very religious Catholic woman, and really wanted to live. And sometimes she talked about Mary. I always say a little prayer and set an intention for the person I'm working with, and did so for her. And I asked that Mary might come into this session for healing on her. There was the feeling for both of us that there were many hands working on her, not just mine. My hands would be in one place, but she would be feeling hands on different parts of her body, not just where my hands physically were. She'd open her eyes every once in a while just to see, because there were so many hands on her. She saw Mary working on her behind me, and I think we were both just blown away.
The value of human touch and concern for humans is so great, and I think that Healing Touch touches on that deeply.
Healing Touch is based on the belief that our bodies are composed of energy. If there's a block to the flow of the energy in or around the body, that can lead to illness or disease. If you can clear and balance the energy field, that will promote health.
My father was in the process of dying for the last 2 years of his life in Florida. I had traced an outline of his body, brought it back here, put it on my massage table, and I would set the intention for what I was doing and telephone him and talk to him about what was his intention for the session prior to working on him, hang up the phone, do the work, and then call him back to find out what his experience was. And even my father, an evangelical Christian, was able to articulate what had happened during the session and how it had relaxed him.
I always learn something in every session, some little detail about either myself or the universe.
Everything relates, the spiritual and the mental and emotional. The biggest impediment to it is people's attitudes about it, people's skepticism, people's uncertainties about what it is, or people's fears about being harmed by it, or their ignorance.
I have a father-in-law who's a Christian Scientist, and he believes in faith healing, but he didn't believe in Healing Touch, and I offered to work on him. He came over out of curiosity, and so after I finished the session, he said, "I didn't feel a thing."
I think the skepticism about healing partners or Healing Touch just comes from people's closed-mindedness.
I actually do remember lying there on the table kind of nervous, not knowing what to expect. And that comes up a lot when the women who are diagnosed with breast cancer start receiving Healing Touch in our program, Healing Partners. Sometimes they have a hard time relaxing into it at first because they want to understand what's going on. They have lots and lots of questions, which is fine. But then if they let themselves just kind of surrender to it and experience it, they know something has happened, and a lot of times their need to understand it intellectually goes away. We started Healing Partners about 7 years ago, my friend Elizabeth Helms and I, and we had both heard of this program in Hawaii that's called Bosom Buddies, that's very similar. And so we were very inspired by that idea of having women diagnosed with breast cancer, matching them up with a Healing Touch provider, and then they get free weekly sessions of Healing Touch.
So I got into the study about the effects of Healing Touch on breast cancer patients, and I got Healing Touch sessions once a week for 6 months.
From what they teach us, we are meant to do it positively and in the direction of the highest good, and that it's supposedly not able to work if you use it negatively.
Some are matched up with a partner right as they've just been diagnosed and they're going through surgery and chemotherapy and radiation. Others get matched up after their treatment's over when they're maybe trying to re-enter their life and figure out, how should I live now? What's going to be different? What's going to be the same? Who am I now?
It's very satisfying to me to have these partners and watch them kind of transform into having a little bit more thoughtful care for themselves.
There have been some women who find their experience in Healing Partners so positive that they decide they want to go on to study Healing Touch. And that is just an incredible thing to witness.
When I went through it, I never felt more relaxed in my life.
My favorite method in Healing Touch is the mind clearing.
The technique has about 7 different hand positions, and the first one, hands are here, kind of at the collarbones, and hold them for about a minute. The next one is one hand at the back, the base of the skull, and one right here, holding for a minute. And then both hands at the base of the skull, then hands to the top of the head like this, the crown, then hands right here, and then a light circling right at the jaw. And then the last part is a very gentle movement down the face 3 times, and then holding.
People these days do forget to take care of themselves with the pace of life.
The one thing I like about it is that you don't need any equipment, you just need your hands.
My partners come in, they're like, you've got to fix this. And I can't fix these things. We just set an intention together and we see where it goes. It's very liberating to know that you just got to let it go and let it be. You can't fix it. You can't fix it, but that's okay.